protest this corruption. We want to stop the steal. We want a free election. We want Donald Trump in office.
Bruh.
So can you explain what happened today?
Today, we come up here to the Capitol steps. Tried to get in the Capitol. They started gassing us and macing us. We kept trying to hold the line and go up to the state Capitol. We want to be heard. That's all we want to do is be heard. Nobody wants to listen. They want to gas and mace us.
That sounds kind of...
What's going to happen, do you think, after that?
I don't know. I think they stopped their vote in there. They evacuated it when they said. So I don't know yet. I hope they overturn this and at least give us some days to find out about the corruption and prove what happened.
Nope.
I'm here to support the president. I think the election was a fraud, and I think it's clear.
You dumbass.
The election's a fraud, and we're not going to stand for it.
What are we here for? To stop the steal.
And what happened today?
I'm not sure, but it looks like they stormed the Capitol. People broke through and raced through the building, and then the legislators got scared and left. So we didn't certify for Joe Biden, so that's good. I don't know what happened.
Nope.
I can't get any
What are you
sources.
waiting for, you dumb, stupid
But I think patriots are really standing up. I'm super happy that they're standing up, and people are really pissed off because we know how much cheating took place. If he would have
You
won fair and
dumbass.
square, I think
You
we would be
dumbass.
fine, but we can't let them overthrow our country.
And we are live. It is Friday. Playing some Ronald Jinkies here. I'll turn it down a little bit. That's a bit much. If you guys don't know who Ronald Jinkies is, almost all of my music that I play, except for the very beginning, is Ronald Jinkies. He's a great keyboard player. We've got all kinds of crazy stuff to look at tonight. So, where do we start? Well, let's kill the music for a minute. We'll lower it down. I think I'm gonna start listening to music during the show a little bit. Kind of quiet otherwise. So we'll see how this turns out. All right, where do we start? We had a hell of a day last couple days, and we're finally starting to get a lot of these Trump supporters now named and arrested. So everyone's eyes on social media right now. On Twitter, there's thread after thread after thread of just pure pictures from the event, and they've made pictures for individual people. They've zoomed in on their faces. People have spent a lot of time, and they are going to make sure that these people get prosecuted. So let's hope that happens. This article I saw is a Salon article that says that basically they are saying that the media is complicit in always trying to say that this side's bad, but the other side's got bad. It's always trying to equate things. Like CNN's really good at that, trying to equate things that are not equatable, things that aren't, they could do something really awful as a whole group like they've done here to the Capitol building, and then they would be like, well, Antifa started a car fire, It's like, come on. And basically Salon is calling out the media and saying that we have been witnessing all of this coming. I mean, that's it. I mean, we knew, and it's always in the back of your mind, that can't happen. They're not going to do that. He's not that crazy. He's not that dumb. And we have just continuously moved that goalpost to the point where now, honestly, when they stormed the Capitol building, I was only slightly surprised. I knew that there was going to be violence and crazy shit. I didn't know what they had planned, but, and the media is complicit in just trying to ignore these cult-like, fascistic, is that a word? Probably not. the behavior of Donald Trump and his supporters. They should have been seeing, what was going on and reporting it. It says reporters who for months sanitized language to normalize Donald Trump's. And this, before I get into this article, this began right at the very beginning of Trump's presidency with the grab him by the pussy thing, like how quickly the media helped play that off as locker room talk, I mean, of course, like MSNBC didn't, and of course Fox News didn't, because they're like propaganda outlets for the respective parties, so of course, that, but like everybody else really in the media is just not reporting, has not for the last 4 years reported this the way they should have, and they've normalized a lot of violence and a lot of rhetoric that really never should have been tolerated. But anyway, I'll finish this here. It says reporters who for months used sanitized language to normalize Donald Trump's attempt to overthrow the duly elected government of the United States finally overcame their scruples Wednesday, enthusiastically hurling hyperbolic epithets at the raging mob of yahoos who breached security at the U.S. Capitol and stomped around screaming and taking selfies for hours. The drama of what happened Wednesday was undeniable. It was terrifying. It was an outrage of epic proportions, a shameful moment in the country, and a scandal of law enforcement failure and complicity. And Trump obviously sent the mob on its way. But I find it pathetic that it wasn't until that they had the visuals that they needed, that the elite journalists of Washington and the press corps could bring themselves to call what Trump has been doing, but since way before the election, by a proper name, which is an attempted coup. And that I hate how the media has to they never say the word liar. They will never call any figure a liar. It doesn't matter. That's not even in the vocabulary. They cannot use the word liar. And it bothers me that they do what this article is talking about too. Just this false equivalency, this neutral, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, you're just being hyperbolic. There's no way Trump would ever pull off some sort of a Nazi coup and takeover and all of that stuff, honestly, in the beginning, before you really knew who Donald Trump was, did sound hyperbolic. I never thought, I think Trump's an absolute scumbucket, bottom of the barrel human, but I never really got the intention that Trump is a Hitler that's capable of doing what he did. And, I just thought he was a white nationalist kind of leaning racist fuckhead. And and of course it energized his base, but I never really thought that in the beginning. I just didn't know that much about Donald Trump. I never really thought that one of the dumbest men in America would be able to lead a cult of even dumber Americans to somehow come and take over the Capitol building. I never thought that would happen. And if you listen over the last 4 years to the mainstream media talk about these events that have happened over the years with Trump, event after event after event, does not matter the severity or the outright lawlessness of some of the things that Trump has done, the media still, as a whole, just doesn't call it out the way it should be. And they do that, and the journalists and things do that for a reason, because they lose access. If they write a really nasty piece about somebody, then they don't get access to those people anymore, and they won't get to speak to those people, and they won't get questions answered. And that's just kind of how it works. Unfortunately, that's the game that's played in, political journalism, and then you just have to play it or you're not going to get to talk to these people. So that really hurts us. And, I think a lot of us on the left did kind of, here toward the last year or so of his presidencies, thought in the back of our minds that, man, it's not as much Trump that I'm worried about as it is his supporters and what they would do, because Trump's a coward, and he's just a pansy little coward that's not actually going to do anything besides spur on his base to go do something for him. He wouldn't do that. So there here in this last year, I did think, man, maybe these people are capable of doing something radical and crazy. And here we go. This is what's happened. And I think the media does play its part in its complicity. All right. Well, speaking of Trump's dangerous behavior and his, incompetence, Nancy Pelosi now spoke to the Joint Chiefs, the chairman, about preventing unstable Trump from ordering a nuclear strike. So, do we want Donald Trump in the last, 11 days, 12 days, to be carrying around the nuclear codes? Do we really want that? I don't think so. So House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she spoke to Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley about available precautions that would block President Trump from ordering a nuclear strike or accessing launch codes and starting military hostilities. The situation of the unhinged president could not be more dangerous, Pelosi said in a letter to Democratic lawmakers. The letter comes 2 days after a mob of Trump supporters rioted outside and inside the U.S. Capitol on the heels of a rally where the president encouraged them to fight with him to prevent Joe Biden from becoming the next president. She went on to say precautions that would block an unstable president from ordering a nuclear strike or even accessing nuclear codes. The situation is unhinged. The president could not be more dangerous. So these are the kind of allegations that don't get really tossed around very lightly in Congress at all. It's kind of surprising to me to see. I mean, it's not surprising that she's saying the things that she's saying because I tend to agree with her, but I'm just surprised that we had to have the Speaker of the House come out at the end of a presidency and say that we are so worried about this president and his unstable mental status and how crazy he is that we aren't even willing to let him stay in power another 12 days. So we're willing to make Vice President Pence the president for a few days just to get you out of here. And you know, that's pretty special. That's not something you're going to hear a whole lot in Congress going forward, I would imagine. But I don't know. Will they get this done? No. The rumor that I heard was they tried to contact Mike Pence's office, or Mike Pence himself, after all of this and have him invoke the 25th Amendment because he is the one as the vice president that has to do that. And they said that his office staff kept the Democrats on hold. I think it was Nancy and Schumer that called. And they kept him on hold for over 25, 30 minutes and then came to the phone and told them that he would not speak with them. So that's not happening. So we have to move to impeachment. And in 12 days, you know, maybe if we had all of the House and all of the Senate combined, like, ready to go, and they were all, like, you know, agreed to do this, then yeah, we could do it today and be done. But the problem is you're still going to have seditious Republicans in the Senate and seditious Republicans in the House. But although I did see a message today that 2 GOP staffers had stated that if impeachment is brought upon the House floor for Donald Trump in his last 12 days, they will unanimously vote for his impeachment. They will not block it. But that won't happen in the Senate. And so I don't know whether or not, is this a waste of time? Is this an act for Nancy? Is this a show politically? I don't really know. I mean, I get that you wouldn't want him now. I mean, really, had we wanted him to have the nuclear codes for 4 years? I mean, I feel like 4 years he's done a lot of crazy shit and he's only got 12 days left. So I don't know. Is it worth it? If it is, do it. If it's not, just let's not move on. Do something else that's more important. Like maybe try and get $2,000 checks to everybody. All right. So, Greg Gutfeld here. Greg Gutfeld says Trump supporters are justified because you can't trust elections sparking chaos. So let's listen to Greg Dum-Dum, see what he has to say.
Why calling for an audit that Cruz wanted and Trump wanted is a call for an insurrection. It was a preventative, because I've said this 1,000 times, that when you remove dialogue or a conversation or just going back and forth from the process, all you end up with is violence. And you have people who feel like there's no hope. And I think what we're seeing here is a lot of people with no hope. And I would like to coin a phrase. I think the genie is out of the bottle on this. There's no way to turn this back. You have millions of people who do not trust their institutions, and you know what? They're justified. You can't trust the media because they lie to you. You can't trust the elections because there is fraud. There is fraud. We don't know how much there is because every time someone brings it up, they're dismissed as conspiratorial rubes. We got to change because it's going to get worse before it gets better. Another phrase I just coined.
Yeah, really.
Resignations. Talks of removing President Trump from office are being heard all around. Whether the removal is through the 25th Amendment, impeachment, or resignation, more than 200 members of Congress are calling for the president's removal as well. Let's find out more from Newsmax White House correspondent Emerald Robinson, who joins us live now from Washington. And Emerald, Nancy Pelosi putting out this statement saying that she talked to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff about taking away President Trump's nuclear privileges. It doesn't seem like that's actually going to happen, or there's much real initiative here. I guess Joe Manchin also now saying that he doesn't think that Trump is going to be impeached. So really a lot of this, I think, is talk, maybe some virtue signaling from these members of Congress. It's not really going to happen, is it?
Of course he's going to say that.
No, there's not any kind of sentiment around here that that's really going to happen. They say that most people think this is a way for Nancy Pelosi to try to further taint the president on his way out and perhaps try to affect any kind of future prospects or a potential run that's been talked about already for 2024. Now, as far as the 25th Amendment, that was conversations that were had over the last couple of days, but it also appears that Vice President Mike Pence does not have an appetite for that, and he would have to.
Yeah, Mike Pence doesn't have an appetite for anything that's the correct way to do something. So, anyway. So, we've got Trump supporters here that are trying to now leave.
Travel to your lungs?
Turn this stuff off here. So, they were having trouble leaving D.C. A few of them, actually, I wouldn't say a lot, I think a few, were already stopped at the airport, and they are going to be slowly arrested. We know for a fact the guy's name that sat on Nancy Pelosi's desk. We know there was one guy that was so stupid that he wore a lanyard around his neck that had his work badge on it. Moron. Of course your work's going to see that. They fired you. He's been fired. So, they're not doing very good. So this article says that Trump supporter cried in the lobby of the Capitol Hill Hotel on Thursday as she poured herself a cup of coffee and told her friend that her son had disowned her for joining Wednesday's chaos. But minutes later, when the driver of a car yelled at a group of haggard Trump supporters to get the fuck out of our city, she joined a chorus of others responding with explicatives. So while supporters of Donald Trump checked out of their hotels in Washington on Thursday morning, sharing feelings of sadness, anger, defensiveness, paranoia, and one another, residents of the nation's capital said they were glad to see them go. And that was a day of terror. So as a brown person, quote, "I wasn't allowed to go out," said a man who lives near Capitol Hill, who asked to remain anonymous because he is a government employee. "I watched it on television. It's really unbelievable that something like that could happen. When the Black Lives protests were going on, we saw so much more police presence. I don't know or understand what happened yesterday." And that is the question of yesterday, is why did we see massive amounts of troops, that's what they look like, military-esque security for the Black Lives Matter? There's pictures of them, 50 deep, standing on the steps of the Abraham Lincoln Memorial. And, where are these people? And the answer to that question is that all of those people that you saw during the Black Lives Matter, those were private contractors hired by the government or by the Trump administration. These are hired mercenary type security guards that were specifically hired by the Trump administration. So that's why you saw that huge presence during the Black Lives Matter. Now, I feel that the Capitol building and Congress, it should have known this was coming. They should have known. It wasn't some secret that sprang up. And why they couldn't get enough police there in our nation's capital. Anywhere else, this could have happened anywhere else but our nation's capital, and you fucking let it happen there. So we don't trust you now. We see that our Capitol building is unsecured, and that pretty much anybody, if they got enough numbers, can just waltz right on in, and you're not going to stop them. And I really think that, I guess I've always thought that the White House and the Capitol building and certain buildings in D.C. were guarded much of in the sense of the way Area 51 would be guarded. Whether if you come any closer, you're going to die. We're going to kill you with snipers, which is what I would have assumed would happen in D.C., but I was taught a valuable lesson that with enough people, you can just walk your ass in the Capitol building and do whatever you want, and it's going to have to stop. So, yeah, anyway, let's see, there was something here. I guess they've already drawn up articles of impeachment. This was he should leave office immediately through the resignation of the 25th Amendment or impeachment. That they put out a statement on that, but I'm not going to get into that. We know what's going on there. It's boring. So, let's see. The other thing I did want to talk about was that Twitter only suspended Donald Trump's account for 12 hours, and he was right back on there saying that 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected. So it's like, continue support for this base, And Facebook and Instagram probably now realizing they're not going to make any more ad revenue dollars off of Donald Trump and has decided to ban him totally. There's no going back on those two. He's banned. And honestly, Twitter is being complicit by allowing these last few days in office to go on. Ban him, if you don't even want to get rid of the guy totally and you want to still keep him on your platform, just ban him for now. You only got 12 days. Fuck, I've been put in Twitter jail for longer than that. So just suspend him until it's over and he's out, and then you can take that account, the POTUS account, away, and he can just keep his own stupid account and run his mouth. If you're not going to block him. You should permanently ban the man, but you probably won't. You've proven that it's really not something that you're interested in doing. So I don't know what else to tell you on that, but well, it's a short show tonight, folks. It's been a long day. It's Friday. So we're going to try and have some fun tonight and relax this weekend, and we'll be back at it 7 p.m. Monday Eastern live show. Please subscribe, like, comment if you haven't already, and please share the videos on social media. It's very difficult for us new YouTube creators that get into the political talk genre on YouTube to get started, to get noticed. So anything that you can do in that sense helps me out greatly, and I really do appreciate it. So, all right, folks, I think this is going to be it for tonight, and we will see you all at 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday, on the next live show. This is Brandon Neal, and this is the Be Progressive Show. Have a good day.